So this is Tower on the Borderland, and I know this is supposed to be a speedrun video, but I just want to point out before I get started how cool this main menu is, because this isn't just like a representation of the tower. This is actually the playable area. This is where I'm going to be exploring. You can see the little like fire smoky purple spots, which are like the climbing areas, and the homes, which are like the bonfire analogs. And it's really just cool to see the sheer scale and size of the playable area before you even get into things. It's huge. That said, we'll go ahead and get started. 3, 2, 1, go. So, game starts us off in a tutorial area, so just some kind of general overview information. Starting off with movement, there is a sprint if you hold down the dash button in this game. It's barely faster than walking, so for the entirety of the game, I'm just going to be constantly dashing, which is like our dodge roll. But yeah, by far the fastest movement in the game. This tutorial area, it's kind of just an upward trek. We're climbing to the very top of the tower to meet up with the rest of our task force, who are all here to investigate the tower and the strange phenomenon around it. Unfortunately, everyone else seems to be in on some kind of joke against us, because when we get to the top, they betray us and they try to kill us. Because as it turns out, they kind of actually know quite a bit about this place, and they're actually planning to use the tower, both to make themselves more powerful, but also to awaken an eldritch monstrosity referred to as the God Beast. So here we are at the top. There's our task force meeting with some random priest guy that we don't recognize. Doesn't matter. Cutscenes are skippable in this game anyway. And now we're into the game proper. So, as I mentioned before starting the run, this tower is huge. It's also a giant maze. At this point, our main task is to get back to the top of the tower to confront our task force and figure out what's going on. There's going to be lots of things prior to that. To start with, let's see if I can get this door to operate. Just too late, come on. If you have good movement there, you can get into the elevator before it locks, but that's fine. Anyway, this is a little out of the way, but it's also where we're going to find our first side weapon. The game starts us with a knife, which is fine. It's actually going to be what we use the majority of the time. But later on down the line, there's going to be bosses that absolutely require us to have firearms. And also, they're just generally kind of handy to have. This also shows the general way that upgrades work in the game. As you explore, you'll come across bodies of your fellow squad mates, and typically you don't pick up the upgrade at the start like that. Typically you'll find the corpse and you won't be able to interact with it, but as you walk away, or as you're staring at it, enemies will spawn in and attack you, and once you kill them, you'll be able to pick up the upgrade from the corpse. There's several different kinds of upgrades throughout the game. Obviously one of them is the handgun. If I actually skipped this handgun, I could have picked up the handgun at any of the other handgun locations. Otherwise, they just provide you with ammo upgrades. There's also assault rifle ammo, health kit upgrades, please stop hitting me, thank you. Assault rifle ammo, health kit upgrades, grenades. There is a tactical vest that you can get at 1.2, which halves the damage that you take. Most of these things I'm gonna ignore. In fact, there's only one other upgrade that I'm actually going to get, which is the assault rifle. But once I have the basic pistol and assault rifle, I'll have all of the ammo I need to finish the game. So generally I will be avoiding everything else at that point. Enemies in this game, common mobs, generally can just be avoided. Occasionally one of these elevators will lock itself if enemies get too close to it, and so I'll have to dispatch some enemies in that case. But for the most part, I'd rather just avoid. You can also see right there, there is that vase with the chest and smoke coming out of the vase. Those are the homes, or the bonfire analogs of this game. They heal you and restore your ammo when you interact with them, and whenever you die, you are teleported to the location of the last home that you rested at. I will purposefully be avoiding any of the homes that I encounter in the first part of this, because I'm going to be making use of a little exploit in a bit. Basically as a way to skip some boss fights. So at this point, before we can start climbing the tower, we actually have to go grab some climbing gear. And the climbing gear is behind the first boss of the game, a guy named Fenton, who rides a horse and has a lance. It's really weird fighting a horseback knight with a tactical knife and a handgun, but, you know, whatever. That said, I kind of just don't wanna. So what I'm gonna do instead is, rather than approaching the boss the way I normally would, which is going down that elevator over there, and going, you know, actually fighting him, I'm going to walk off this ledge while interacting with the radio. Holding the radio is going to prevent me from taking any kind of fall damage or triggering like any death planes that would normally work me back up. I do that twice here, which allows me to get completely out of bounds. And then from here, I just walk over to where the climbing gear is, which is a little pillar past the broken bridge here. Thankfully, collision is quite generous and allows me to just kind of walk over there. And then I got 2 more drops. Hopefully I don't mess them up. So the tricky thing with the radio is that the input for the radio is the same as the dash. So sometimes I'll just accidentally dash off the ledge and deal 20 damage to myself. But I didn't. I got the climbing gear, and now we use the game's built-in return home function, which warps us back to the last home that we rested at, which happens to be the very start of the game. This is really handy because after you fight the first boss, you're basically expected to backtrack all the way to the start, and along the way, you run into the second boss of the game, Dougal. That fight can go really quickly. There's a cheese for it that causes his ads to attack him for you and basically delete his health bar, but it's really finicky to set up, and a lot of times just doesn't work out for you. So anyway, we just skipped 2 boss fights. And we're now on the path to the third boss. But I need to make a small detour to grab the assault rifle from here. Unfortunately, this does require us to kill all of the enemies. Which I'm not doing a very good job of. Okay, this actually is not the worst that I've done getting the assault rifle, so we're gonna go with it. Just before I get to the third boss, there's a small detour you can make where you unlock a shortcut elevator that takes you directly to a home. And I could do that, but 90 health should be plenty. Also, like I said, I now have all of the upgrades that I need to finish the game. It can get very tight during a particular boss fight. I just have to be careful about my ammo usage and making sure that I make use of the focus meter. But right up here is our next boss encounter, or first boss encounter, I guess I should say. First phase of this boss fight, pretty straightforward. He's got 2 attacks, a flamethrower and a kick. Generally he opens with the kick, like that, and I just dodge directly into it. The timing works out where I can just mash the dash button, and as soon as I do the dash, mash the knife button and just rinse and repeat until first phase is gone. I also want to make sure that I have the assault rifle out for phase 2. So phase 2, you get a giant boar. If you're lucky, the boar will do flamethrower attacks just like that. That gives you time to build up your focus. So the more flamethrowers you get, the better. I hate those dashes. We'll loop around, because he's almost dead. That should finish it. Alright, there we go. And we're right next to the elevator that we need to go through. So that was nice and clean. Now that McKray's dead, that leaves us with 2 more people in the way. But now we need to work our way up to the almost top 4. Not quite. But yeah, all of the last encounters are kind of on the same floor together. It's a little weird in that regard. But first I have to get there. And to get there, I'm going to make use of a glitch. So this guy, there we go. I'm going to pull out the radio just as I get hit. That makes the game where it has me in the radio, so enemies are frozen and cannot attack. They also can't follow me, which is what I actually want, because that means that they can't follow me to the elevator and lock it before I can get into it. Unfortunately, you can't really use that to make combat easier, because even though your first hit will count, any subsequent hits will not. I'm also going to go ahead and trigger that just for a little bit of safety. And then on this floor, I'm going to trigger the same glitch again, because there is another elevator up ahead, but I'm going to have like 10 enemies chasing after me. And I really don't want to fight 10 enemies just to open an elevator, especially not when there's an additional ambush waiting just around the corner for me. Now, technically, if you did go through all of this, there is an assault rifle ammo upgrade around this corner that is pretty beneficial, but again, I really have all of the ammo that I need, so I'm not going to do that. Now we have a mini-boss encounter with O'Reilly, our team sniper. And the way this works is just I'm waiting for the focus meter. O'Reilly has 2 attacks. He can either shoot at me with his rifle or he can throw grenades. I want to see grenades as much as I can, because grenades I can dodge for focus meter. I can do that with his shots too, but the timing is so unforgiving, there's really no point in even trying. There we go. O'Reilly is down for now. And as we get to the elevator over here, a spider spawns, which is why I always want to make sure that I have a little bit of assault rifle ammo left over, because it just takes 2 rounds of fire for that. And with a pistol or with your knife, it takes a lot longer. No need to do the glitch on this floor. We just go past these guys and activate the home. And now we get into O'Reilly's proper boss fight. And this is the most painful one of the run for speedrunning. Basically because this is the fight that really expects you to have a bunch of ammunition. Phase 1 is just annoying. He'll post up in a corner and try to shoot at you. I'm gonna go ahead and do this just to get a hit in. Nice. Yeah, so this is what he does. He just runs away constantly. And what I want is, ideally, I'll get close enough to trigger him to throw a grenade. Because if you get him to throw a grenade and then trigger him to run away, he will sometimes run into it and blow himself up. Come on, big guy. Yeah, I've already used all of the ammo that I can for this fight, so from now on it's just hand-to-hand. I would really like a grenade. He's literally not thrown a single one, and he's taking the longest pathing. Like, come on. There we go. That's what I like to see. Come on, big guy. There we go. Okay, phase 2, on the other hand, is really easy. Because if I just stand in the back corner like this, the boss's AI just breaks. So now I can just sit back, allow my focus meter to build, and deal as much damage as possibly with the ammo I have. And this fight seems slow, but the reason it seems slow is because I'm maximizing the damage per ammo count that I have, and this is what makes it where I don't have to go exploring around the tower, picking up all of the other upgrades. Because the encounters per upgrade are also very, very slow. Alright, so O'Reilly is down. We can warp home rather than taking the actual pathing back. Just saves a couple seconds over trying to find the exit rope. Even though I was right next to it, it's still faster to do this. And now we're on to the last of our task force members. Saxton is a particular thorn in my side. Not only are his melee attacks really strong and sometimes hard to read, but he also throws grenades that remove your ability to lock onto him. So hopefully this goes well. I should get a guaranteed stagger right here. Okay, so far so good. This is a really good fight. Wow. That was incredible. Okay. We're going to get away and use our assault rifle. The assault rifle just kind of melts his second phase. Because he's technically a spider, the assault rifle kind of stun locks him a little bit. Not exactly. Okay, let's play it a little safe. There we go. And now at this point, it's opened up the inner sanctum of the tower, which is a set of stairways that allows us to navigate the entire height of the tower, allowing us to get out on any floor we want and making exploration and backtracking a lot easier. But I don't want to go backtracking, I don't want to go exploring, so I again just warp to home, which saved me several flights of stairs. And now, all that's left is getting to the top. As it turns out, all of our squad members have been working secretly with Father Bryan, a dark priest who is looking to awaken the God Beast. And it is our job to stop him. So, we go through the elevator, and this takes us back to the same area that we were in for the tutorial. I'm going to go ahead and pull out the assault rifle because there are going to be 2 enemies that I have to kill to unlock an elevator. You can fall off these stairs, by the way. Try not to. Interestingly enough, you can only fall off on the right-hand side. The left-hand side is an invisible wall. Here we go. Come on, please die. You're not really giving me any counter hits. There we go. Alright, that gets us back to the top. Now, as much as having 40 health missing right now is great, I am going to go ahead and grab this home because I'm going to need it. And that's because Father Bryan has a bit of a secret to him. See, there's an elevator bringing you to the last area of the game. But that elevator just checks for Father Bryan despawning, which he does if you die and then come back. So you don't actually have to fight Father Bryan. You can just die as quickly as possible and leave. So now we are at the ground floor at the exit, but there's one last task of us, which is to kill a mutated Father Bryan. Now, we don't have the tactical guard, so we take a lot of damage. The halberd does heal us, but ideally we want to stun lock Father Bryan. The time will be once he reaches 0 health. And that's time. So yeah, that is the tower on the Borderland. That is 3 out of 7 bosses skipped, a couple fun little glitches, and a huge tower that lays at our mercy. I hope you had fun with that. It's a pretty fun run that gets surprisingly deep in the combat, to be honest. Like, I really didn't expect that from this game, and it feels bad when you first start this game, but when you get used to the combat, it actually feels pretty nice. But yeah, that does it for me. Again, deep apologies, Duskamaru, for breaking your game so much, but it's a good game. That's all for now.